Okay, so we've been talking about these chemicals and what they might do to a Vistalite shell. Some because I got into, I don't know what it is on my green 18-inch floor tom shell that I got to get cleaned off. So I went to the forum or went to the site and asked, hey, what might we use? And I got a lot of suggestions, which kind of prompted me to, and a lot of controversy around the suggestions about what would damage the shell and what wouldn't damage the shell. So what I'm trying to do is, and I'll never create the situation that I have on the 18, obviously, because that's been on there for, geez, it could be, what, 50 years. But I did take this busted up 10-inch shell with the Y crack at the lug mounting, and I covered it in duct tape. I let it sit for a couple days. I baked it in the oven a few times. Tried to run a roller over it to apply it real tight to see if I could get a bunch of glue, softened and hardened to stick on this shell to see if I could create, some type of a test surface, just to see how effective some of these are in removing adhesives. But the real test is to see if the shell hazes or fogs immediately after use of the chemical. Now, saying that, many of you have mentioned that, and I suspect, it's absolutely accurate, that some of these chemicals can cause crazing later on down the line, where you get that crackly, we've all seen it on plexiglass, where you get that crackliness in the plexiglass, which is something that can't be sanded out. That's just a defect that's going to be in the drum forever. So this isn't going to show that. It will show hopefully it will show what would immediately harm a Vistalite shell if you used it. So I'm going to peel the duct tape off of this shell, and once I do that, we'll get on to using these chemicals. So let's go through the chemicals that I have that I'm going to try. Starting with, I don't know if I'll start with this, but Goo Gone. That was one suggestion. Sorry for the glare from the sun. I'm out in the backyard because not all of this stuff, but most of this stuff is extremely flammable. I live in an old house and it has a boiler in the basement, and of course it's, 40 degrees in Ohio today, so that boiler is going to be kicking on and off, and I don't want any fumes blowing up the house. So all that this says is it contains petroleum distillates and a chemical called dilimonene, whatever that might be. I'm not a chemist. It is phosphate free, whatever that means too. Okay, so Goo Gone is one of the chemicals. Another chemical is Goof Off. So Goo Gone and Goof Off look very similar, but apparently they're somewhat different. Haven't used either one, so we'll see what this. Goof Off says it works the first time. It says it removes super glue, epoxy adhesives, and Gorilla Glues. Removes the toughest, ultra fast, and ultra strong. Although it says it works the first time, it says it may require repeated applications to remove an adhesive, and it only says that it contains petroleum distillates. Brake parts cleaner, just standard CarQuest brake parts cleaner, and it goes through some of the things that it contains, which are some horrible freaking chemicals that you don't want to get on yourself if you can help. I got these gloves that I'm going to wear, and I'm going to put these chemicals on with these blue shop towels that I have so that I can throw all this stuff away. This, I guess the main warning on this is that it contains ethylbenzene, or ethylbenzene it is, yeah, which is bad stuff. So we'll give brake cleaner a try. Another one I brought out is just straight up from the medicine cabinet rubbing alcohol, and that contains 70% isopropyl alcohol. Another one I thought I'd try is this penetrating oil called Croil, which says it dissolves gum, dried grease, oil. It removes rust and carbon deposits. It's good for guns and rifles. Doesn't say anything about using it on plastic, so I thought I'd just put some on there and see if it discolors the shell in any way. Another one we're curious to see what this does is lighter fluid, Roncinol lighter fluid, and it's obviously extremely combustible. It says it contains light petroleum distillates. The old favorite, WD-40. Once again, flammable contents, shake well, let it soak for several minutes, and wipe it off. Just says it contains petroleum distillates. Commercial glass cleaner from the local Giant Eagle. Windows, glass and mirrors. It says it's contains, where's the, oh shoot, I read it a minute ago. It does contain water, isopropyl alcohol, ammonia, glycol, ether, wetting agents, coloring, and stabilizers. So we got isopropyl, ammonia, glycol, and ether. Let's see, the next one we got is carb cleaner. That was a recommendation to give that a try. It shake well before use. It contains acetone, toluene, and carbon dioxide. Lots of warnings on here about not breathing it, not contacting it, not using it around flames. Toluene is a bad chemical, so try to keep that off our skin. And then the other one I have another one I have out here is called Dissolve It Citrus Solution. It crayon stickers, lipstick, and grease, safe on virtually any surface. It does, however, mention on the back that you should test it on plastic surfaces before using it. It does, however, say that you can use it as a mild soap or shampoo. So that might be a certainly a environmentally safe application to use. Apply, wipe, and rinse. For tougher challenges, let it sit for 30 seconds. So we'll see how this goes. I got my dog out here, so if he goes crazy after a squirrel, you'll know what the barking's about. And the last one, but not least, certainly, is the horrible stuff, the acetone. Cleans residue, thins fiberglass resins, epoxy adhesives, and it dries quickly. All kinds of warnings on acetone about how horrible it is. Harmful vapor, eye or ear, don't breathe it, don't touch it. Careful how you dispose of it. It's nasty stuff. I don't really want to get around it too much, but it's something that people have said, hey, this might do the trick on your drum, so I'm willing to give that a try. So that's a rundown of the chemicals. I'm going to peel the tape off the shell. Got my blue wipes out here, got my gloves, and we'll see what happens. All right, more to follow. Okay, rolling again. I'm hoping that sun, I don't know, will stay in a place where we can still get a good view. Not a lot of duct tape residue on the drum. Some you can see, quite a bit there. Not a great test, but we'll see how she goes. So, okay, got the blue towel. Let's just go with start with the most mild and go up from there. We're just going to start with the commercial glass cleaner. We'll start right where the mount was. Actually, I'm going to move over because I'm going to use acetone where that joint seam is, just to see if it would mess with that joint seam at all. So, putting on the commercial glass cleaner, which does contain, I guess I got to open it first. Off, on. Come on, baby. There we go. All right, commercial glass cleaner. Spray a little bit on that side of the drum right there. We're just going to let that sit. Okay, let it sit for a while. I'm still on video. I can't see. Daggone it, sun. All right, let's see what it does. Just a regular commercial glass cleaner. Does not easily at all remove. It's not touching that. It is not. Doesn't appear to be hazing the shell, and at least from what I can see. But it is not. Certainly not wiping off the adhesive, that's for sure. So if you got a tough adhesive issue, commercial glass cleaner, not the answer to that. Anyway, stretch your form. I still on video? Dang it. Yes. All right, good deal. All right, so commercial glass cleaner was a bust. Gonna get a clean towel because I don't want to mix the chemicals on the towel and create some type of an explosion. Little mad scientist action. Okay, next, let's pick a spot. We started at the just past the seam. I'm gonna come back into that same spot with isopropyl alcohol. Same spot, some isopropyl alcohol. Okay, there's the seam, there's where the duct tape adhesive is still on there. Putting isopropyl on it. Put the cap back on the isopropyl, let it work for a couple of minutes here. Let's see what happens. 3. I'll leave it sit for too long. Okay, the isopropyl is definitely dissolving. It is dissolving the adhesive with a little bit of rubbing. Not what I'd call, you know, an outstanding performer, because there's still some adhesive there where it was applied. Wiping it clean, it evaporates super fast. Appears to be no issue at all with the shell there. Hit it, dry it a little bit more just to see and make sure. That surface is, well, I guess these gloves. See, there's the camera. Okay, no hazing or anything like that on the surface. It did clean it. Didn't do an exceptional job cleaning it. So if you got a tough one, isopropyl might not be the answer to a tough one. All right, so that shell's evaporated off. Appears to be no issue with crazing or hazing in any way. Let's go to WD. Let's hit it with a little WD-40. We'll go to a turn on around a little bit here. You can see there's some duct tape residue left in place on there. Hit that with some WD. Now, the WD, it has been have been warned that while WD may work in the short term, it may be one of those chemicals that can cause your drum to craze on down the line. So we put the WD on there, WD-40 on there, sat for a little while. And WD-40 is not taking, with that short application, it's smearing it. Man, it's tough being outside here, but I think you can see it. It's smeared a little bit, but it sure didn't take it off the way I thought it might. Split that shell in worse than it is. Although I did think about cutting the shell into chunks and soaking it in some of these chemicals. And WD-40 is dissolving it. It is starting to work on it. Many people said apply it on a towel and let it sit on there. And many people advised against that due to the potential prolonged impact of WD-40 on the acrylic shell. So after a quick application and wipe off, WD-40, a lot of residue left on the shell, but it did not immediately dissolve. It smears it. There it comes. There it's moving. Now it's moving with some elbow grease. That would obviously take several applications of WD-40. It does look like it would finally clean it off. So that did, easy baby, that did, yeah, it's working on there, but it's creating a mess. You're gonna have to do several applications, but it did soften the duct tape residue that was right there, and it has smeared that adhesive up and down the shells, but I do believe after several cleanings it would take it off again there. But repeating, people have said that it will cause crazing on the shell. So you can see, I hope you can see anyway, don't see any immediate crazing on the shell, but it's not, you know, it's going to take some elbow grease to clean that off. All right, let's wipe this off the rest of the shell real quick so we don't mix chemicals. All right, we're going to move around to, we'll move around to right here. Hang on, I got to get a clean towel and dry this off. That WD-40's it's goopy stuff. It's goopy stuff. That's for sure. All right. I'll try to edit this film for you if I can to shorten it, but if not, you just have to put up with some of that. All right. Shell's clean. Well, not shell is not clean, but WD-40's off the shell. That's where we wiped. Yep. Okay, let's move on to, I'm curious to see what the lighter fluid will do. That's been one that's been recommended several times. Oh, what have I got that I can pop that lighter fluid lid open with? Daggone, if they got a safety on there, baby, they don't want you getting into that. And then I got these crazy gloves on that are too small, so the fingers are floppy on the end because I can't get them all the way on. Come on up out of there, you. All right, lighter fluid is open. Okay, we got the lighter fluid. Let's pick a spot. That's this is right next to the WD-40. Put some lighter fluid on the drum right there. Try to keep it somewhat contained. Clean towel, we'll let it sit for a little bit. Okay, now then, let's wipe it off. Lighter fluid, yeah, plenty lighter fluid does go after it, that's for sure, but it does contain some lighter fluid. I would say did work better than the WD. Man, I hope I'm getting this where you can see it because I don't have to do all this over again. But it's so bright out here I can hardly see what's actually on the iPad. Stuff stinks, that's for sure. It does stink, but where it was applied, it works. Applied it, let it sit for a while, and it cleaned it. Trying to get a look here. The iPad kind of blocks the sun out to see. I don't see any immediate crazing on the shell at all, or hazing on the shell. Doesn't appear to have fogged the shell with the lighter fluid. We'll come back around maybe one more time after we go through quickly and let some of these soak on the shell for a while. Okay, wiping this off this other parts of the drum. Some is inside. That's a messy spot there. All right, let's go to this messy spot and grab the let's grab the Surface Safe. This appears to be the less between Goof Off and Goo Gone. I would say that the Goo Gone appears to be the more mild chemical of the two. We got a messy spot right here with some smeared adhesive, some residue up there. Hope you can see it. So let's take the lid off the Goo Gone. Oh, got a safety thing on there. I'll never get that off with these gloves on. All right, got to stop the video. Okay, got the safety cap off, the Goo Gone. We're going to relaunch here. Now this is very runny stuff. So I got to figure a way to do this. I guess I'll try it on the rag first. It does say to apply it directly to the surface, but we can we'll soak this rag, this cloth, put it on there, and we'll see what happens. Says you need to let it sit for a little while, so we're going to let it sit for a little while. Got the goo gone on there. Let it sit for a little bit. Says for extra tough adhesives. Dog saw another squirrel. Alright, I'm just going to say, you know, that there is a line of adhesive right there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but alright, now she's beginning to work on it. There it goes. After sitting for a little while. Right there where the lug was. Alright, so I would say that the goo gone, right, I got the goo gone, yes. The goo gone has by far, in my humble opinion, done the best job so far. Didn't leave any messy residue. Didn't leave any messy residue. And it really cleaned the shell. No messy residue, and it cleaned the shell. Leaked through the lug holes on the inside, but yeah, that's pretty, where are we, sorry. That did a pretty nice job on there, where I put that. I think you can see that's pretty doggone clean from removing the adhesive perspective and leaving the shell clean. Okay, nice. All right, well then let's just go straight ahead on into Mr. Goof Off. Let's try this Goof Off. He's got that same cap that the lighter fluid has. Okay, got that open. This again is pretty runny stuff as well. So let's get a clean towel. Let's get a clean towel. What are you doing, bud? Hey, come on. Come over here. Lie down. Good boy. All right, we're going to soak this towel. Oh, that's good. And here's a tough spot right here. Got some adhesive on there. Got the towel soaked with Goof Off. That's got a strong smell, I'll tell you that. She's got a strong smell, but man, it goes to work. Yes, it does. There's no question about that. Little line down there that it's, yeah, buddy. All right, let's see. What's going on here now? All right, let's keep an eye here. Let's see what's going on. Is that hazing that shell? Or is that just glue residue? It almost looks like it might be. Let's see here. I'm going to go back in with another towel, because if you can see right there, there's a line along there. If you can see it or not, doing my best because the sun's so bright I really can't see what you're seeing. I apologize for that. Let's see. Let's rub that hard. Oh, what is that? Is that crazy or is that? No, I think that's just the adhesive. That's interesting how that happened though. It went on there and then it dissolved the adhesive, smeared the adhesive, and then cleared the adhesive off. Alright, so that's the Goof Off. I'd say the Goof Off did a heck of a job on there too. Doesn't appear to be clouding it at all. There's a little section down there that's still got adhesive. Alright. Did not immediately haze the surface of the drum. Alright, coming around to here now. Let's see, let's use the, Yeah, let's try the orange cleaner next. Just curious to see whether this stuff is not supposed to kill you quite so much. This is, put it on the stream setting. There's a section down through here you can see. I believe you can see. Man. Here goes the orange cleaner. Oh, there she goes. So we put the orange cleaner on there. Let it sit a little bit. Get a clean towel out. Man, I apologize. I really can't see that camera at all, but I think you can see the orange cleaner on there. All right, it's sit for a little while. That's very oily. That's very, very oily. Sat for a while. Vigorous rubbing. Let's see, it's moving it. It's moving it. It's certainly not as easy as the goof off or the goo gone even, but well, I believe if he did several applications of that oil, you'd get it clean. Still left a little bit on there. In terms of there, now she's gone. She took it off of there. Didn't get that actual stuck on tape at the top, but yeah, she's coming off of there. You bet she is. Does not appear to be any kind of discoloration of any kind on that shell at all either. Yeah, I did a nice job on there, huh? So that's the Dissolve It citrus solution. It's supposed to be very, very environmentally safe. And looks like it does a nice job. Looks like it does a nice job. It is oily. It is oily, but that shell is, I don't see any type of remnant of adhesive came off nicely, and I don't see any type of discoloration or hazing or fogging occurring immediately after the application of that chemical. All right, now we're around to this section here. I'm going to wipe this down a little bit because there is some overspray from some other chemicals on there. Get that off of there. And I thought since this has been a previously glued spot, might be interesting to use some of these harsher chemicals here to see if they seep down into that seam at all and dissolve the glue that's already on there. So I'm not going to go straight to the acetone. When I do the acetone, I'm going to use it over here on the factory seam. I'm sure that's welded on there, but I'm just curious, you know, to see if there's any potential damage that could occur from that. So again, I just keep the shell as clean as I can so we don't mix chemicals. So let's go with some of this nastier stuff. Put this brake parts cleaner on there. Where's the dog? Okay, he's way out of the way. All right. I don't know. Can you see me putting that on there? Yeah, there's my hand. Ooh, that stuff's. Okay. Let that sit a little bit. Doesn't appear to be melting my gloves. That's good. Couldn't be that terrible, right? All right. Okay, the brake parts cleaner is on there, and it evaporates like super quick. Super quickly it evaporates off of that drum. Let's see what we got here when we wipe this down with the brake parts cleaner on it. That's nasty. That is not. It's dissolved the adhesive. It has dissolved the adhesive. but it has also streaked the adhesive, and then when it evaporated so quickly, yeah, you can see that kind of creates it does not appear to be hazing the shell, but it does create a mess because it evaporates so quickly that what it broke loose just stays in place. So it did break down the adhesive from the duct tape, but the rapid evaporation of the chemical itself leaves you with quite a mess behind, and that's dried solid as a rock on there. So that brake cleaner created a little bit of a mess, that's for sure. So I suppose that's good information, and it evaporates. Once again, I think it's, it dissolved it obviously, but it also, when it evaporated, it left the streaked adhesive behind. So let's see what the carb cleaner does. See what the old carb cleaner does. Just gonna move on around a little bit. Here's the carb cleaner, all clear. I'm gonna put the carb cleaner, kind of overlap it with where the brake cleaner went. Put some on there. Let it sit. That smells pretty doggone strong. That is, I'm glad I'm outside. Come out carb cleaner. She's got a definite odor. All right, let's get a clean towel. Okay, I think what we're faced with that carb cleaner is kind of the same issue, actually the exact same issue that we were faced with the brake cleaner. It evaporates very rapidly and leaves you a mess. It definitely leaves you a mess to have to deal with. Yeah, that's the adhesive. That's not, although I'm going to come back and clean that probably with the goof off just to see. So yeah, brake cleaner and carb cleaner, I don't know, at least from what I'm seeing here, they create as much of a mess as they do help you clean the drum, just because they are so freaking, they evaporate so quickly. Yeah, that's just evaporated off there and left you with a streaky mess on the drum. Not so hot. Okay, just, yeah, it's all, now you can see those, you can see the traces of it all over the drum too, where it's run down and evaporated. Probably not good for spot application. Again, it evaporates and it just, then you end up spreading the adhesive. So that's not so great. So here we go with Croil. It's just penetrating oil. This stuff's magic on parts. A friend of my son works for John Force Racing on Robert Height's car, and he recommended me get this Croil for working on some motorcycles and cars I was messing with, and it's good stuff. All right, let's here's these spots that are a mess. So let's go back in here with this Croil penetrating oil. Some on the rag there, and let's see what we get. Oh man, that stuff sure does clean it. Sure does clean it, I'll say that. It's got a stink to it. I want to lose my little red cap. Get back on there. But I think if you recall, you can see where that Croil just went right in there and dissolved that adhesive that the brake cleaner and carb cleaner had really smeared. Huh. That kind of surprises me. I kind of just threw that in as a wild card, but that really cleaned. Did a nice job. Huh. Interesting. Croil. All right. On to Mr. Nasty now. Acetone. We'll come around to this side of the drum. Actually, there's a mess here, and there's some glue that was in there, so we'll try this section of the drum right here with the acetone. All right, let's see what we got here. Acetone. How do you open this baby? Turn it to the side. Oh, what are you gonna do? Pry it open? Where's my screwdriver? Grabbed an old Phillips sitting on the bench, and it's not the best for this application. I sure don't want to spill this junk, that's for sure. There she is. Now she's open. All right, clean rag. Clean rag. Layered a couple times. Douse the rag with acetone. Rag is doused with acetone. Close the lid. Lid is closed. Come back to the nasty spot where we had glue and adhesives, and we begin to wipe with the acetone. And as predicted, whoo, man, that acetone takes that stuff off lickety-split. She comes off of there lickety-split. Yes, she does. Woo, boy, that's powerful. That stuff did go after it. I'm not gonna kid you. Are my gloves dissolving? No, they're all right. That did go to work on that. I can take that acetone soaked rag right there, and it cleans it. It does clean it. That is for sure. Wow. Well, gang, acetone freaking works, man. For cleaning, that's for sure. Wow. Get all these rags out of the way. Let's take a clean rag here. Wipe this shell off. Inside and out like we might do if we were cleaning. That chemical, that daggone acetone does scare me. I hope you can see it. I don't see any, I don't know. Let's see, what's going on there? Is that just adhesive, or is that damage, or is that coming from my gloves? Melting onto my fingers. Oh, that's wiping off. Huh. Well, acetone, my friends, she works. She does work. That's for doggone sure. All right, we're going to set up another little thing where I'm going to see if I can get the rags wet with the chemicals and then lay the rags on the drums in different spots and let them sit for a while, and see if prolonged exposure damages it. But okay, so let's go back through. Safe and seemed to work pretty darn well was the Dissolve It, at least on this application. Stuff you can use for shampoo on your hair, so probably, safe on your hands and your drum. Croil, penetrating oil, did a nice job of taking it off as well. Goof Off worked well, a little better than the Goo Gone. WD with some scrubbing took it off. Carb cleaner and brake cleaner created more of a mess than they helped. The isopropyl alcohol didn't really seem to touch it too well. Commercial glass cleaner didn't really seem to touch it very well. The roncinol, let's see, what did we get from the roncinol? I don't think we got a great result from the roncinol. Dang, I can't remember now. It's terrible, isn't it? Have to go back and watch the video. You know, I gotta say, as far as for rapid results, we're gonna keep an eye on what happens to the shell, but that acetone nasty stuff, boy, she took her off of there lickety split. All right, let's set this next thing up where we soak the rags and let them lay on the shell for a while just to see what happens, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we've been talking about these chemicals and what they might do to a Vistalite shell. Some because I got into, I don't know what it is on my green 18-inch floor tom shell that I got to get cleaned off. So I went to the forum or went to the site and asked, hey, what might we use? And I got a lot of suggestions, which kind of prompted me to, and a lot of controversy around the suggestions about what would damage the shell and what wouldn't damage the shell. So what I'm trying to do is, and I'll never create the situation that I have on the 18, obviously, because that's been on there for, geez, it could be, what, 50 years. But I did take this busted up 10-inch shell with the Y crack at the lug mounting, and I covered it in duct tape. I let it sit for a couple days. I baked it in the oven a few times, tried to run a roller over it to apply it real tight to see if I could get a bunch of glue, you know, softened and hardened to stick on this shell to see if I could create, you know, some type of a test surface, just to see how effective some of these are in removing adhesives. But the real test is to see if the shell hazes or fogs immediately after use of the chemical. Now, saying that, many of you have mentioned that, and I suspect, you know, it's absolutely accurate, that some of these chemicals can cause crazing later on down the line, where you get that crackly, we've all seen it on plexiglass, where you get that crackliness in the plexiglass, which is something that can't be sanded out. That's just a defect that's going to be in the drum forever. So this isn't gonna show that. It will show what, hopefully it will show what would immediately harm a Vistalite shell if you used it. So I'm going to peel the duct tape off of this shell, and once I do that, we'll get on to using these chemicals. Okay, so we ran through the chemical test, and what I did was I set these, and this is just immediate results. This doesn't show anything about what prolonged exposure to the chemical might do to the shell, but this is what the immediate results of my chemical tests were. I'll put the long version. If you've got, I don't know, 40 minutes of your life you don't want to get back, you can watch the long version on YouTube, but this is the short version that I'll do. First of all, acetone really worked well. Immediately cleaned off the adhesive residue, and you know, no immediate hazing on the shell. Goof off and goo gone, pretty similar results, although the goof off seemed to be a little stronger and worked very quickly. Croil, which is a penetrating oil, cleaned the shell nicely, wiped it right off. The citrus solution there, the solvent, did a nice job too. A little bit more scrubbing required, but of course it's very safe. It did remove the adhesive, and with some scrubbing did a nice job. I'd rank the roncinol, the WD, and the isopropyl probably pretty close to each other. They do seem to eventually dissolve the adhesive and take it off, but it might take multiple applications to get them to actually you know, clean off a really bad spot. And then down here on the end, commercial glass cleaner from Giant Eagle, ammonia, isopropyl, didn't do much more than clean around the residue. And then the brake parts cleaner and the carb cleaner dissolved the adhesive and then immediately evaporated and created kind of a bigger mess than they actually cleaned. They do dissolve adhesive, but like I say, the minute they dissolve it, these evaporate very quickly and leave the adhesive then kind of a smeared mess. So that's my ranking from top to bottom on immediate results. Acetone #1 for cleaning. The Goof Off and the Goo Gone did a nice job. Croil penetrating oil did a great job. Dissolve It Safe takes a little more scrubbing to get it off. Isopropyl WD and Roncinol work about the same. Once again, multiple applications and some scrubbing, and they do the job. These three down on the end, I believe I would stay away from. So that's what I got.